And it's difficult to talk to children because you have to go to their level, but you also want to raise them.
Yes.
So you have to challenge them. You are not going to give them something. If you give them exactly what they want, then you will give them stupid things.
For parenting tips, celebrity interviews, recipes, conversations with experts, DIYs, and lots more. Subscribe to Kids Talk Press now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to an interesting episode of the Kids Talk Press podcast. Today, we're in conversation with one of my personal favorite authors, one who has broken the dynamics of children's literature and is leading a mission to make mythology relevant and make us start thinking, then start just embracing, and which is something I absolutely love about him. Two of his children's books which have taught me more than I think they've taught my children is The Boys Who Fought and The Girl Who Chose. I am the child who sat every Sunday in front of the TV watching the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, not understanding, not questioning, just absorbing it like a story, which is how it should be in childhood, but never questioned. I was never taught to question that norm, which I did at the age of 35 when I read those two books with my kids. So Devdutt Pattanaik, thank you. Thank you for being here. You know what I love about you is that I can read feminist stories while I am teaching my kids about the book, the other one, which obviously the others that we've read. But this one, in my opinion, shows, which for everybody who's listening, it's ABC Hinduism for kids. And what makes it so beautiful is, and the first thought that I had when I read about the Sindhu Hindu and how you said drop the S, is like, how can someone who's so well-read, so learned, come down to being bare bones when he needs to explain it to a child? How do you simplify it so much? Like, I don't think, and I'm not obviously you, but simplifying it to this level for children is beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's a huge compliment. You see, what happens is, I believe if you understand something, you should be able to explain it to a child. And it's difficult to talk to children because you have to go to their level, but you also want to raise them.
Yes.
So you have to challenge them. You are not going to give them something. If you give them exactly what they want, then you will give them stupid things. Because stupid things are always more attractive. Smart things are difficult.
Yeah.
As I said, gym. Remember the gym all the time. Nobody likes to go to the gym.
Yeah.
But we have to go to the gym as we grow, especially when we grow older, because we have to keep our body working. You know, we will always prefer food.
I'm thinking you are thinking very hard about the gym. There is something that is happening here.
No, because the ease with which I can spend writing is not the same. I always wonder why I can't spend 45 minutes in a gym. It's such a big struggle for me. And that's a reminder of people who don't read books. Because what is a book? A book is a brain gym. So children want to read books which don't challenge them. And it's a parent's responsibility, like giving green vegetables to a child, that you have to read. And you have to read, because only then your neural networks will develop. Book, nature, travel, exercise, sport, all these things will make our children smart. But systematically, the smartest people in the world and the richest people in the world are funding activities to make our children dopamine addicts.
Right.
And we are allowing it. Very casually, without even realizing it. When you're writing for children, you're writing for the next generation. When you read the Hindu scriptures, they will say, half your life is for yourself, but the remaining half of your life is for others. I don't have children, but there are others. There's a whole generation. It's not my children. It's just children. There's another generation. And I want them to know about, there's more to Hinduism than what a politician will say, or what a Bollywood writer will say, or what a Guruji will say.
Thank God you had it all three.
So I have to write it in this modern, I illustrate, I write. So, A for apple, but what about A for Atma? How do you explain Atma to a 3-year-old child? Then you suddenly realize that in Hindi words, there are no, in Sanskrit, there's nothing which comes, for example, in Z. Z sound doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But then you put a zebu bull. And now you put a bull and a zebu, and it's a humped bull. And then you realize that humped bulls are only found in India. And, I try to tell children that, this is biology, this is chemistry. How is chemistry part of your life? How is biology part of your life? When you talk about plants, you talk about botany. So I I realized that curiosity is what you have to get into children. When you make a child curious, they will start going towards books. It's not giving the books, it is creating the curiosity.
Right.
So I have had children when I travel, they'll ask me, sir, I have read. I said, I don't know the answer. Let's find out together. I said, no, how will I find out? I said, you have a phone, you have Wi-Fi, and you don't know how to do search? Come, let's see who finds it first. So I gamify it. And then suddenly they get excited because I'm like, sir, ye Buddhist tupa ka matlab kya hai? Once I went to NID about 10 years ago and I had these people in Buddhist lectures. I said, get your phone, get your iPads, put the Wi-Fi on, let's do. And I kept telling them how to search because they didn't know how to search. So these kids who think they know, I said, no, you don't know. Because if you can't answer the question, you don't know. The answer is there, and it's there in the World Wide Web. And then I started challenging them. And they started giving me the answers. At the end of it, they were giving me lectures on Buddhism, history of Buddhism.
But it's all not first-hand information.
It's okay.
It's not a lived experience, and which is my concern. And I mean, of course, in mythology, it's not a lived experience.
How will you experience a disabled child's life?
No, you will not. But
you can read about it.
Yes.
That is why books exist.
Yes.
To experience the lived experience of other people. So I can empathize with a rape victim. I don't have to go through the horror of it, but I can empathize with it because I've read it. I don't have a woman's body, but because I've read feminist literature, I've read the women's writings.
So you're not worried that children today are living off lived experiences of others?
They have to live through. That is the purpose of it. But which lived experience are they living? How much are they being exposed to? What are they being exposed to? Most of them are being exposed to Harry Potter. That's not a lived experience. That's a fantasy.
Yeah.
Lived experience is to know about nature, plants, animals. Do they know about people who live in Dharavi?
Yeah.
Do they know? Have they traveled in a bus? Have they walked to the station? Have they crossed the road on their own without 3 maids taking care of them? And I keep seeing these fragile children being raised by rich people. And I'm like, oh my God, your children are going to grow fragile, which means they will be eaten by wolves when you're not there. You're just, I always tell people in the old days, the king had a child, a prince or a princess, and his staff would do everything in their power to pamper the prince and princess. So they become weaker and weaker and weaker. And the moment the king goes away, the child has no one to take care of them. It's like they say the Nawab of Lucknow. There's an urban legend when they came to arrest him. He did not leave the room because he had no one to tie the nada of his pants. At least that's a story which I've heard. This is what we do to children. In protecting them, they don't even know how to tie the nada of their pants. And Nawab didn't know that. His ancestors would have been warriors from Northeast and killing people, massacring people. And their grandchild can't tie the nada of his pants. And that's what happens in privileged families.
Right.
And we don't allow children. So I once met this a princess. And I looked at the princess and I just asked her, do you know how to cook? And she didn't. I saw the flashing fire because there were 3. I could see what's going on in her head. I'm a woman, that's why he's asking to me about cooking. Second, I'm a princess, how dare he ask me? I have cooks. And I said, it's just a life skill. And I think that's the first question you should ask the man who you're going to marry.
Yeah.
And it dawned on her that I'm telling you more about experience. I said, it's about experience. Our books are about that. How do I help a child understand Atma?
Yeah.
If I don't give a book, we lived experience a child of 4-year-old, 6-year-old.
But are we saying that the children are going to follow suit and therefore the parent needs to be more aware about the ABCs than anything else? Because we are believing that we don't need this anymore.
Yeah.
Because we are 21st century, because we're progressive, we don't need to go back. We need to look forward.
You see, all mythological stories talk about human insecurity. And no technology in the world is going to take that away.
Yeah.
So when you read an ABC of Hinduism for kids or any mythological books, these are stories about human insecurity.
Right.
And coping with human insecurity. You are insecure, your child will be insecure, your grandchild will be insecure. It's not going to go away. Every newborn child comes crying because it's insecure. You can't say the king's or the merchant's son is going to be born or daughter is going to be born who doesn't cry.
Right.
No technology is going to create a
Yeah.
child when the child is emerging from the mother's womb. It's just terrified. The world
Yeah.
has changed. So terror of life is there in every generation.
Right.
So stories are required in every generation. Therefore, mythological books. And we are helping our children.
Yeah.
So I would always tell, do not teach don't give food to your child. Teach your child how to cook the food.
Right.
Because then they are forever taken care of, because they know how to manage the show. Savitri could manage because she said, I can manage death.
Yeah.
So they describe Savitri as an educated woman, by the way. She was so educated that men were afraid to marry her. And she said, I'll find my own husband. And when she finds a husband, they said that he's going to die. And she said, I'll manage that too. So you see, this is a story written 2000 years ago. I'm sure she read ABC Hinduism for kids, because someone told her that, life is going to have full of challenges. Things that you like may not work out your way.
Yeah.
And you have to figure out how to do it. And I think when you write a book, when I'm, like, for example, when we're designing the cover, I don't know if you see the cover, there is this goddess over here called Zari Mari. Now, have you heard of Zari Mari?
Jarimari temple. Which
Yes. This is a Bombay person talking. A non-Bombay may not know. And my Delhi editor said, but I've never heard of Zari Mari. I said, great. You should now read it. She said, oh, that's so true. That's the purpose of a book, to tell me things that I've never thought of before.
Yeah.
I said, if I tell you the thing that you already know, then what's the point of a book?
Yeah.
So I insisted that Zari Mari be on top, not Hanuman, because everybody knows Hanuman and everybody knows Ganesha. But they said, no, we need to put the familiar. I said, put the familiar, put the unfamiliar. So the child starts to learn the unfamiliar.
Right.
So ABC is familiar, but the words are not familiar.
Yeah.
And that was very, very important. Like, it is a very big challenge. How do you explain? Like, I put all kinds of birds and animals. I love to put all birds. I love animals and birds.
I love the illustrations.
Yeah.
How much time do you spend on getting that illustration right, that it's matching what you actually want to communicate?
So an illustration like this will take 1 minute. I love doodling. So they're really doodles. I don't color them. Coloring is done by another person.
Yeah.
I'm not good at coloring. So I take professionals' help for that. But the drawing is mine, and I draw very fast usually. All my illustrations in my book are black and white. And I have this thing about drawing them very fast. And now with the iPad, it's easier.
Yeah.
So I don't take a long time to draw. I've been doing now for like 20 years of illustrations. So unless it's a very complex composition, but not more than 10 minutes.
Wow.
10
Then
minutes.
that means that picture is so clear in your head.
Yeah, I'm very clear. That I thank God for that. But over the years, I think clarity is something that and it gets refined every time. It's not like a single point. It clarifies and it gets better and better and better and better over the years. So that's why I'm able to write the children's book now. Initially, I couldn't. When I wrote Boys Who Fought, Girls Who Chose, it's because I knew the Ramayana Mahabharata so well that I could slice and dice it. And it's still tough books. They're not easy books, really. Many people have said they're not children's book. I said, I'm not giving children what they already know.
Exactly. It forced us to think.
I want that. And
It
the parent.
gave us perspective.
And I want the parent and the child, when they're sitting together, I want the child to go and tell, I didn't understand this. And I want the parent to read it and explain. And please
They can have a difference of opinion. We did.
And that's where magic happens. In the conversation between the parent and child.
Right.
I want my books to facilitate a parent's and child. Like, imagine if three of you all, a husband and wife discussing a book will improve the relationship between the husband and wife.
Yeah.
Because you see, he sees it differently.
Yeah.
I see it different. Now you understand the difference between the two of you.
Right.
Or two friends discussing the same, or a film. So I think a book provokes you very intensely on certain topics, which films can't do unless it's difficult to do a film, or films can do it at a particular way.
Yeah.
But you can't get into the inner world.
Right.
Books allow you to enter the mind of people.
Sans the
can't-
visual. The visualization is left to yourself.
Yeah. In a film, I can't, unless they show a background sound telling how they're thinking.
Yeah.
It's really the good acting of a person.
Yeah.
So it's a very different medium. But why I do illustrations is because I want the person to also visualize. So the brain develops through text and through design.
Yeah.
It's a combination.
Yes.
So I'm working a lot on cognitive thinking. The design plays a lot of role for me. Designing a book.
But tell me, in this space, we're talking of comparison, greed, and this constant rat race or hamster wheel that we want to be in. Any concluding stories that you want to share which we can teach our children from mythology?
So let's go to
which help them
ABC in
combat
Hinduism
it?
and go to a character called EFGHI, which is Indra. And Indra is the king. Indra is the king of Devas. The Devas live in the sky, in Swarg, where there is the wish-fulfilling tree Kalpataru, the wish-fulfilling cow Kamadhenu, the wish-fulfilling jewel Chintamani, the nectar of immortality Amrut. The Asuras who live under the earth in Patal keep attacking Swarg and demanding a portion of what the Devas have. For the Devas and the Asuras are half-brothers, sons of the same father and different mothers. The Devas refuse to share. They defeat the Asuras with the help of Shiva, Vishnu or Devi. But the Asuras always return. Because the Asuras have Sanjeevani Vidya, a secret by which the dead can be regenerated. As a result, and that's important, as a result, Indra's Swarga has prosperity. No, but the point is, Indra is the person who has all the money in the world, but he's unhappy. So whenever I meet someone who's rich and prosperous, I always, because happiness has nothing to do with your wallet size.
Right.
Happiness is Atmagyan, knowledge, wisdom. The sages of India have always said, Atmagyan hoga to sukh hoga. They have never said Lakshmi se sukh aati hai.
Right.
Lakshmi is good for comfort. She gives you great comfort. She's joy, delight, pleasure. But peace of mind comes from Atmagyan. And that's what I focus on.
Thank you. This is incredible. I cannot believe I have spent 1.5 hours with you and I'm just so excited.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for writing these books. You have absolutely no idea the impact that you create, the family bonds that you build, the conversations that happen, the fights that happen, the difference in perspectives that you kind of ignite in our families. And please keep writing and please get us to think. I think that is my big takeaway from each of your books, Devdutt. That you've taught us how to think.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank you so much.
For parenting tips, celebrity interviews, recipes, conversations with experts, DIYs, and lots more. Subscribe to Kids Talk Press now.